Story 1. I have a feeling something is going on between my husband and my younger sister. Rachel, F30, have been married to my husband, Ryan, M32, for 6 years. We have a really strong relationship. I would say the usual couple drama through our years, but we have grown from it and have a loving relationship. All was well until about 8 months ago. My sister, F28, moved back to our hometown, after living in Florida since she was 18. Her long-term boyfriend dumped her and moved to a new city, leaving her destitute. The circumstance behind their breakup are still largely unknown. When my sister returned, she told us that he had been cheating with men. I didn't really know him that well, but that sounded far-fetched. I only met the guy 3 times, as my sister would only come home for Christmas and usually only stay for 3-4 days. He accompanied her twice during their 5 years together. The other time I met him was when my husband and I visited them for a day during our vacation 3 years ago. He just didn't strike me as the guy who would have a double life and just leave Star with nothing. I tried to reach out to him once but found I was blocked, so I just let it go. Star moved back in with my parents, Gina F55 and Jimmy M56. For the first month she was here, she struggled to find work, so I suggested that maybe Ryan could help her out. He is a higher up at his company and figured he would have some pull. He did, and she was able to get a position in his department. This is a job in her field. For some background, my sister and I have never been very close. She is the golden child, at least to our mom, and our dad is spineless when it comes to our mom. It's not super obvious, just a million little things. Like we both got cars when we turned 16, but I got an 8-year-old Dodge Neon, and she got a 2-year-old Mitsubishi Eclipse. Her dance practices, outfits, competitions, I know they cost $1,000s over the years. Some of those competitions were 6 or 7 hours away, and they never batted an eye. Meanwhile, when I would ask for $50 for a volleyball or basketball camps at the local college, in our town, they would give it to me, but you would have thought I was asking them to build me my own arena. I think what pissed me off the most ever was when I was 17. I was out with my boyfriend, lost track of time, and was 15 minutes past curfew. They took my car for a whole month for that. Then when my sister came home, 2 hours late, and smelled like pot, the next year, she just got a stern talking to. I wasn't exactly sad when she left for college and decided to stay in Florida. Despite all of that, she began spending more and more time at our house. Which at first I thought was nice, as maybe she was making the effort to be closer to me. Then I started to notice that her and Ryan were getting rather familiar with each other. They would talk about seemingly anything at length. They started having their own inside jokes. If I tried to include myself, they would say, "Just a work thing." When I asked my husband about it, he just said they have a lot in common and are working on several projects together at work. The first real red flag was that after about a month of this, she would be there at our house when I got home from work. Ryan and I have different work schedules. While he gets a traditional 8 to 430 workday, I work 10-7. This was pretty often. When I asked about it, I always got we had some work stuff to do. 2 months ago, I noticed something that had me questioning my own sanity. I make the bed every day before I leave for work. I always make it so the open side of the pillowcase is towards the edge of the bed. Star was over that day when I got home. She ate with us, then went back to my parents' house. As we got in bed, I noticed 2 of the pillows had the cases in towards the middle. I asked my husband if he had been in bed today. He looked a little shook but said, "No, why do you ask?" I said the bed's not the same as I made it this morning. He told me, "Ella." I must have been mistaken then, because no one was in the bed. I looked through his phone and laptop without his knowing and found nothing. Then again, they work together 8 hours a day 5 days a week, then hang out after work. Why would they need to text? I felt like I was losing my mind. 2 weeks ago, my parents invited us over for dinner. It was going fine. Until I saw something. Ryan was simply walking by, Star lightly grabbed his arm and he turned to her. She whispered something and they touched foreheads together. It was only a second and Ryan jolted up, then kept on walking. Star then just kind of looked at me, smiled, and went back to what she was doing. I'm not an idiot, I know this is a mountain of red flags. I just don't want to believe. I have been in love with my husband since I was 21 years old. I have planned a weekend getaway to the city. I'm going to ask him about things there. I really hope it's not what I'm thinking. You were all right, and my world is destroyed. We went on our weekend adventure. It was a nice Friday night. We had drinks, we danced, we were intimate. The next day we had more planned, and I almost didn't say anything. Really thought he couldn't be doing that with her and this with me. I was so wrong. We were almost ready to start our Saturday. and I point-blank asked him if he was having an affair with my sister. He teared up and said, yes, he was. My heart crushed. I asked him why. He said he was sorry. He didn't mean for this happen. They just clicked, and before he knew it they were kissing, then more. I asked if he had been sleeping with her in our bed before I got home from work. He just turned his head in shame. I left at that point. I had nothing with me but my purse, and I drove home without him. He got an Uber and arrived a few hours later with my other things. He tried to apologize, but I didn't acknowledge him through my tears. He packed a bag and left for a hotel. The next day I told my parents. They already knew. They said they were sorry about what happened, told me Star had left last night and might not be back for a few days. I'm sure she went to stay with Ryan. That all happened 3 months ago. Our divorce is almost final. Ryan found an apartment to rent right away and Star moved in with him. I am only contacting him in regards to our divorce. He initially said I could just have the house and the savings. I think this was guilt talking. Then after a few days said that we would have to split the house. I know this was Star in his ear. I had already moved everything out of the savings into a new account, so there was no fight there. Just like that, 9 years of my life gone. He has no idea what he is getting himself into. She is a narcissist and will throw him away eventually. Star has been exceedingly cruel during all this. A few days after I found out, she tagged me in a Facebook post. It was a selfie of her and him giving her a kiss on the cheek from behind. The caption read, "Feeling loved." It was disgusting. I logged out of my account and deleted the app off my phone. She texted me about an hour later saying, "Sorry sis, didn't mean to tag you, no hard feelings, I hope we can still be close. You'll meet your soulmate someday too." I blocked her on everything I could think of. My parents haven't been any better. They pretended to be sympathetic in the beginning. When I told them I was going no contact with Star and Ryan, my mother looked at me and said, "I'm sorry this happened, it shouldn't have happened this way, but your sister deserves to be happy too. You'll meet someone, and then we can put this all behind us." I got really upset and told them what Star had tagged me in and the text she sent me, and my mother said, "Well, you shouldn't be on that stuff anyway." My father hasn't said a thing this whole time. He just sits there. I asked him once what he thought, and he just said, "I agree with your mother." Then walked out of the room. I am going full no contact with them as well. The house will sell soon and I'm moving to a different state. I am not telling any of my family where or when. I haven't told them that's my plan. I'm just done with all of them. I wish them all the worst. Hi everybody, I know it's been 4 years since I last updated everyone, but we had a major situation happen. I'll start with giving you an update on myself. I am recently engaged. It took a lot of therapy to get myself back out there. I tried dating right away once I got settled here in Minnesota. I went on one okay first date, and then I got shown just how much of an asshat he was, and I swore off men forever. That's when I went to therapy to process all the trauma from the betrayal of my husband and sister, as well the abandonment of my parents. It was a hard year of that when I met James, M37, I'm working on getting over the fact he has the same first name as my dad, LOL. James is wonderful. He is a chef. Him and his fraternal, twin brother Jack own a restaurant bar that is doing very well. I am very excited to start a future with James. Enough about me, now to the drama. First off, I'd like to tell you about the audacity my family had. Roughly 9 months after I left. I had been totally no contact, did not tell them where I moved to. I had told some friends and a couple cousins, as I was close to them. I got home to my apartment, only to find a wedding invitation in the mail. To the wedding of Ryan and Star, with a gross picture of them hugging in a fucking sunflower field. In it was a letter from my parents. It basically read like I need to forgive and put all this behind us. That they know things didn't go the best, that's an understatement, but we're a family, and families work through problems. They also claim Star wanted me to be a bridesmaid just like she was for me. WTF. That letter opened up all sorts of old wounds at the time, and my therapist got a lot more business. Today I find it hilarious, but then not so much. I did not respond at all. The only thing I did was figure out which part of my extended family let my ex-family know my address and cut them off as well. That brings me to the most recent drama. Last week Ryan of all people showed up at my apartment. James and I do not live together, but that will be changing soon. He looked good, like too good, as in he was trying to look his best when he showed up. I asked, "What do you want?" He said, "I just want to talk. I'm so sorry for what I did. Star and I are divorcing. I figured out she was unfaithful our whole marriage. Surprise, surprise. I don't expect you to take me back, but we should talk and get some closure for both of our sakes." I did a double blink. He has lost his mind. I looked him right in the eye. No, I give you no closure. You made your own bed. Did you really think that golden hoo-ha of hers, that I'm telling you has had more visitors than Holiday Inn, was suddenly going to put up the no vacancy sign just because you put a ring on it? You're even dumber than I thought. I forgive nothing. I want nothing from you. I don't care. I'm better off now. And that will always be the case. You can go to hell. Then I turned and went back in my apartment, locking the door behind me. I immediately called my landlady, who is the sweetest old lady in the world. I've gotten kinda close to her over these 4 years and she knows about my previous marriage. Ryan was still just loitering out in the hallway. A few minutes later, her 2 nephews that help maintain the apartment grounds were there, letting Ryan know he was not welcome here, and was on a banned list. If he returned, the police would be called for trespassing. I was hoping that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. I have a fairly easy 9-5 work schedule now. Because of that, I go to the restaurant almost any night James is managing. I don't get in the way, just hang out and enjoy the few minutes here and there he can give me. I've become good friends with a lot of the staff, which include a lot of James and Jack's family, and it's really the family environment I always wished I had. I am there the next night, when Ryan walks in and just comes and sits at my table. It was a slow Tuesday night. James noticed and recognized Ryan from photos I had shown him. He immediately came over to check on me. Ryan stuck his hand out. James just looked at it, then said to me, "Want me to kick him out?" I said, "Not yet, I got a question or two." Ryan perked up like he was winning or something. What a tool. I asked him to tell me what happened between him and Star. I'll admit it was pure morbid curiosity and I was hoping she got screwed over in the divorce. Ryan told us she was having at least 2 affairs with married men. Old habits die hard, I guess. This was 2 years in. It was a tough time for me. Eye roll. I interrupted. You are not that dumb though, did you protect yourself, or did she get half of all your stuff? Ryan replied smugly. I stuck out almost another year with her so I could start stowing away savings and sold off some assets. In the end she got a fraction of what she would have. I asked, and what happened to her then? Ryan replied, she had to move back in with your parents again. I satisfied said, ah yes, thank you, that's what I wanted to hear. He can go now. James, you heard her, out of my restaurant. Ryan, but no, I want to. I cut him off, no forgiveness, no closure, I just wanted to know my loser sister was back living at home, get out. James stood and pointed at the door. Ryan looked around and saw he was being glared at by the bartender and 2 members of the waitstaff. He stood tuck-tailed and turned towards the door. James started. And if you ever come back. Ryan quickly, yeah, I know, cops, trespassing. After he was gone, I got checked on by almost everyone around. It was nice and embarrassing. My future in-laws, who I adore, called me. They demanded I stay with James the next couple days just to be safe. It was really sweet. I have never had a family look after me like this. I didn't hear from Ryan again, and hopefully I never will. Hi everybody, I didn't think it would happen but I have another update for you all. First to me. I am now a 41-year-old mother of 2, M6 and M2. James and I are doing really well. I now work as a part-time office manager for the restaurants, and a semi-SHM. James' cousin bought into the business and we opened a second location 3 years ago. It's been a lot more work, but with the 3 of them staying heavily involved in both locations we are successful and it affords each of them some level of personal time. It wasn't ideal, but I'm pretty sure I got pregnant staying with James when his parents demanded I do so after my last posting. They now joke they always wanted to be grandparents and it was all part of their plan. Now for the update. After the last time when Ryan tracked me down, I figured it was only a matter of time before my parents or sister showed up. It didn't happen right away. I eased up some as I felt I had a full support system and rejoined social media. I stayed no contact with much of family, including extended, but I also didn't have any illusions that they wouldn't be able to find me if they tried. It wasn't until after our first was born that I got my first message. It was from my mom. She gave a half-hearted apology, said something about forgiveness, and inquired about her grandson. I was just going to block her, but the implication that my child was her grandchild I found insulting. So I replied, "You do not have any grandchildren, I am not your daughter, and thus my children have no relation to you. If you want grandchildren then you should encourage Star to get out there and do what she does best." At that point I blocked her. She made new accounts and tried contacting for a while, but I always just declined or deleted any requests or messages. That brings me to the recent drama. I was getting bombarded with requests, messages, etc. to contact them. I read some and it was a sob story about missing out on the grandkids' lives and wanting to make amends. I really didn't care. I had no intention of ever including them in my life again. Then the more shocking thing occurred. Star started reaching out to me. She wasn't saying much other than she very much wanted to speak to me. After this went on for about 3 weeks, I agreed to a Zoom meeting. Just me, no kids. When it started off, they kept asking to see the kids. I was steadfast that wouldn't happen. They had 3 grandparents and that was it, James's mom, dad, and grandma. I kind of was getting the idea that this was about something else. Star looked kind of terrible, and my parents were looking old and tired. As we started to talk, they began apologizing for everything that occurred. Even Star, she said she was wrong to do what she did, and that she wishes she could have her sister back. That was a laughable thought. Mom then took over and went into her usual garbage about being a family and looking out for each other. When she was done, I just looked at them and said, "Is that all you got? I'm gonna go then." They yelled for me to wait, and the facade dropped. The real reason was about to come out. Apparently Star has been having health issues for the last couple years. For whatever reason, her kidneys are failing and she needs a transplant. That's why they so persistently tried to get in touch with me. A family member is the most likely to be a viable match. I asked them direct, "This is why you call me? You want me to save her after what she did? My husband wasn't enough, now she needs a body part from me too." My mother snapped, "Stop being like this. All of that was a long time ago." She began choking up and crying as she continued. "I get it, you hate us, but she is going to die if she doesn't get a transplant soon. Is that what you want? I know you think she wronged in the worst way, but please, just this once, can we set that aside?" I got quiet. I wanted to see if they said more. Eventually Dad actually started to talk. "Look, we're sorry for all that happened, but we got some pretty big problems. Between her medical bills and not being able to work, your mom and I are getting older and have our own problems. We got a lot of issues. We need you to come back to Missouri and see if you're a match, but we also could use some help, or we might lose the house. So you need my kidney and my money," I said. "Don't put it like that," he replied. Star chimed in, "Please, just come home. I need my big sister. I don't want to die. Can you just come and see if you're a match? If you're not, we will never contact you again." I told them I needed to think about it, do some research tonight. I would tell them tomorrow. I ended the call and went to speak to my husband. He told me he supported me 100% whichever way I went, then asked if we should all travel as a family or if just he should come. I said no to both. I was going to go, and I was going on my own. I let my former family know I would get lab results here in Minnesota, and if I was match I'd come there and we could talk about everything else then. About a week later I got results and it appeared Star and I were a perfect match. I agreed to come back home to St. Charles. By time I arrived, Star had begun to have some issues and needed to be admitted to the hospital. This got everyone off my back about meeting for dinner, as I had no intention of doing anything social with these people. Especially since any time they seemed to have a free minute, my parents were inquiring if I'd thought about helping them get caught up on their financial struggles. They managed to stabilize Star. I went to meet with these doctors that would do the transplant. They began going over everything with me, and I said I'd like to have this conversation with everyone. We all went to Star's room. My parents were already there. The doctor began explaining the situation. Star had maybe 6 months more without a transplant. They went over the process with us all, and made a huge deal about how perfect of a match I was, that the likelihood of finding a more viable donor was minuscule, and that the sooner we scheduled the surgery the better. I then walked over to Star and took her hand. I gazed into her big brown eyes and told her, "Did you hear that? I am perfect match. Essentially, I'm the only person who can save you. And I'm not going to. You are the most vile narcissistic piece of gutter trash I have ever known. I only came here so you would know the one person who could keep you alive is the one person you have wronged the most, and now you're paying for that with your life. You're going to die, you should make peace with that." Star burst into tears, and my parents turned to accost me. The doctor and nurse were standing there in total shock. I looked at my parents and said, "Don't even talk to me, and don't you dare ever ask me for anything ever again. The only money I would ever spend on you would be for your funeral, under the stipulation that you be cremated and the ashes released to me. At which point I will promptly deposit your remains in the dirtiest porta-john I can find." Finished, I walked out of the room and never looked back. I'm back home now, my real home, surrounded by my real family, and couldn't be happier. Story 2. First time dating an alcoholic. She really fucked with me. Non-alcoholic here, but I do drink. I'm in a bad headspace right now. She's getting help tonight, self-admitted, As her self-control was good the past year or two, but not good enough. So I applaud her for that. Backstory: met her in my 20s and dated a bit but fizzled out. Reconnected about 3 years ago. About 15 years later on the socials and started dating long distance. We had fun for the first year but she kept her alcoholism extremely well hidden from me as we weren't around each other so much. She eventually told me about a year in. I was the first one she told. I was already pretty invested into the relationship so I tried my best. I could have done a shit ton better with being understanding, but I never will fully understand. She likes to alone. She makes wine for a living, which she's really trying hard to get out of, and has an interview coming up. When she drink alone she can drink 2 or so bottles and blacks out and passes out. She's never really been like that when I'm present. Fast forward. I moved in with her and was here for about a year at this point. We've had our ups and downs, naturally, but we spoke a lot around that time about us going and doing vacations and camping trips, my hobby, alone, and being able to come back, and all is well. We don't have to do everything all the time together. Pretty basic. However, that very same weekend I went to do an overnight trip and took the pups with me. I came back home and she immediately told me what had happened. She got shit-faced and her old roommate, a man, came over. She was so upset and had no idea what happened, and I asked if they had sex and she said she didn't know because she passed out but woke up with her clothes on. We eventually had to text the guy and ask if anything happened. He's really young, a dweeb, not a threat at all, but he said, "No, nothing happened. We ate Taco Bell and you passed out and I left. But you shouldn't probably drink so much." The really betrayed my trust as she had another man over while I was away, which isn't a friend that we hang out with, and she put me through the mental headache of being cheated on in our house while I was away right after we just talked about doing this very thing that week. I looked past it but I just couldn't shake the distrust. I always brought it up in fights, etc. Well, fast forward until last week. She went on a work vacation for her industry, wine, for a few nights. She texted fine and was happy and engaging, and then her behavior changed. She stopped texting so often and it wasn't as engaging, so I thought she was just hella busy. They had a dinner that night and I never chimed in, which I wish I did because things may have changed outcomes. That day she slept in probably after the first night a bit. Did the events, tastings, socials, etc. She texted and she was going to the hotel to take a nap and had a dinner. I said cool and kind, just let her be again, and was expecting her to text the same thing. On my way. Got back to the hotel. Anything. Well, she ended up staying at the table with another man until her boss and others left. He asked if she wanted to go to the bar club that his buddy was at, but on the way there I guess they found out he had left, and because he was a winemaker as well, suggested to go to his place to taste some wines. Well, she ended up staying the night and, once again, blacking out, woke up with her green jeans on, fully clothed, and in the other bedroom. When she got back she lied and lied and lied about all kinds of shit and was drunk when she arrived 2 days after this night with the guy. It never made any sense, so I kept pressing her and she eventually told me what I described above. She said she was in the mid-state, drunk, that she was on vacation, which she really needed, and going to a club sounded fun. So I'm fine with that. This dude is a creep though. Hella fit, tattooed, and supposedly she talked about me at the dinner and him about his ex-wife that he's trying to get back together with. Well, the story goes. She was pretty damn drunk by the time she got there, as she was drinking all day, and at the work dinner with a lot of bottles, and ran pretty late. She said they drank some wine, hung out, but she's from South America and she was poking fun and asking question about this one song, I don't recall, and they put it on and he was trying to show her dances. She tried, noticed it wasn't really working because she was really tipsy, and eventually slothed to the couch and she passed out there is what she remembers. She doesn't really even remember that, but that's when she blacked out again and woke up with her clothes on in the next bedroom. She woke up, freaked out, went and woke him up, and said, "What happened? I have a BF, OMG, OMG. And he supposedly got out of the sheets in his boxers and said, it's okay, I have a wife, nothing happened." They made some juice drinks or hydro water shit and he kept pursuing her to take her to get a Bloody Mary or brunch or whatever, and she basically out of there. After I finally go this out of her after all the lies, I said fuck it, and emailed him on IG, and he said, yeah, she stated one of the nights because it was late but nothing happened, etc. I can't believe that nothing happened. So I kept trying to get a better story from her, and then I was like, fuck it. Tell me right now, or if you truly don't know and you care, then text him in front of me. He said the same story. Informed her that I texted him too. He's not happy about this because he doesn't appreciate getting pulled in with our relationship, and he's trying to work things out with his ex-wife. The funny thing is he made his socials private after I hit him up, and then eventually took it down until the next day after she texted him. I just can't get past this. I can't understand how she has no clue what had happened after sitting on the couch. Pants cloths come on and off, so that means nothing. How do I even know there's 2 bedrooms? And we all know that dude was trying to fuck her that night. Nowhere in the universe is someone taking this to his hotel and doing any of this and behaving this way, taking the socials down, and would never admit to something happening because he has a whole lot of businesses to lose and his ex-wife. It makes no sense. I'm moving out, but I just don't have anyone I feel like I can talk to. I can't date an alcoholic nor a woman who would ever put me, herself, and our relationship in this situation. Ever. I hope she gets help and lives a fulfilling life, but I know I don't deserve this. I am not buying it. Not for 1 second. I know something happened physically. They are just both cheaters and are manipulating and lying. Edit. Sorry, I have typos. Wall of text. Anything is helpful at this point, but I think I need to stay off screens. I haven't slept since like Thursday. Only a few hours here and there. No work done at work. I think journaling is helping me. Update: my girlfriend who I live with and been dating for the past 3 years just admitted to me she slept with someone last Tuesday, drunk, on a work trip in another city. I've had a lot of women cheat on me and she's an alcoholic, so I knew this was coming. I live with her and I'm in my office. I don't really know what to do. I moved to a small town for her and I can't escape or have anyone here to talk to or stay with. I'll obviously get out of here as soon as possible. Then take shit ton of therapy and go to the gym and keep grinding and building a healthy life for myself. I'm honestly stoked about my future in hopes of finding true love with a great woman who loves to do things that I like to do. Story 3. My neighbor is cheating. I feel like shit about this. I was eating lunch with a friend when I saw my neighbor kissing someone. His wife is very pregnant and brunette. The women he was all over was neither of these things. I mean, if this was an 80s movie, there would have been saxophone music playing at how hard they were making out. I know his name after I fixed their thermostat back in December. He approached me to see if I knew how to fix it. I never caught her name. I, without digging too deep, know that he is cheating. There is no open relationship and she is pregnant. I saw their wedding picture when I was in their place. I have now seen him with this other woman on 2 occasions. The second time was her dropping him off at his place. Could be a coworker. I don't feel like I know either of them well enough to say something. I cannot stand cheaters, but is it my place? I hate this guy I barely know. He fucking sucks. Update: 1 May 4th, 2023. I posted about my neighbor cheating on his pregnant wife a while back. I said I would wait until she gave birth in order to not add to a stressful situation, if I was going to say anything at all. I saw them bringing in their twins from the hospital about 2 weeks ago. They looked very happy and I decided to say hello. I said my brother had twins with his ex-wife. I then turned to the cheating guy and said, they needed a lot of help right after they were born. Do you have someone helping you? He said, we actually moved out here for work and don't have any close family or friends nearby. Family was traveling out to help. I walked away thinking, who is the woman I've seen you making out with numerous times? Well, I found out last night. It's his boss, as she was dropping off a gift for the new babies while I was coming home. It was a short elevator ride, that felt like an hour. I'll admit I took a little longer opening my door to go in. I was glued to the body language difference. She gave him a hug that you would give if someone you've never hugged before went for a hug. Handed them the bag and never went in. So yep, he's cheating with a coworker. He is shit. The safety issue has weighed on me. If I were to leave an anonymous note, she might get hurt or worse when confronting him. I don't know them well enough to know how either would react. Hell, I don't know how some of my close friends would react to a note like that. If I were to leave a thumb drive with photos, video, the safety issue is still there. He couldn't explain it away easily, but 2 infants and a woman much smaller than him might have something bad happen to them as a result. I've thought about the boss, other woman. What if I let her know that someone knows? She seemed to care enough not to jump his bones in front of his wife. Would someone who is shitty enough to cheat with a married man back off at something like that? Would them stopping be enough, or should the wife know regardless if it is still happening? I know, mind my own business. I feel we should look out for each other. I wish more people felt that way too. Update 2, June 15th, 2023. I kept my anonymity, so this will be hard to go into deep detail. I found out for a fact he was cheating on his pregnant wife with a coworker. I wanted to punch him in the jaw whenever I walked past him. I'm glad I didn't. I collected pictures of him and his boss making out, both at dinner and dropping him off. Once her family was around to help with their newborn kids. I wrote out a note. The note went like this. I hope I am way off and your sister's, safety is far more important than anything else. On this thumb drive there is video and pictures of your brother-in-law cheating on your sister with his boss. I hope I am not exposing you to a lifestyle that all three are consenting to. I strongly think that is not the case. I would reveal my identity if I told you why. If that is the case, I'm not judging, disregard and have a laugh at me. I noticed the affair several months ago. I wanted to wait until the twins were born and family could keep her safe. I'm so sorry that the news is coming to you this way. I wish I could do more, but I feel like doing this is stretching beyond my limits. I left it in an envelope on their rental car, which was making my stomach feel like it was in my throat while I did it. I waited, and I waited, and I waited. Then I noticed a U-Haul being loaded up with boxes. I asked if someone was moving in. The guy turned out to be the wife's brother and they were moving her back to her parents so they could help with the twins. I knew the real reason and I feel a weight off of my chest. Yet there is still doubt that I shouldn't have gotten involved at all. The brother told me the husband was staying because of his work. So I still have to live right by this shit. I feel overall mixed about it. I keep second guessing myself, thinking I should have done it different, sooner, or at all. I truly hope that I did the right thing. So few people know that I did this. Well, except for those of you who read this and helped me realize it was I needed to do. Thank you, but my dislike for this guy has only become worse. Fuck him. I hope I never have to interact with him again. Update 3 October 10th, 2023. With that out of the way. The wife is never around. I still feel so bad for her. She seems like a sweet lady. She took her kids up to her parents. I can assume because of finding out about the infidelity. As for the husband, he does not wear his wedding band anymore. The boss still comes around. When the wife initially left, she came around more. One other woman has started coming over to his place too. They are getting a divorce. I found out in a way that makes me dislike this guy even more than I did. Again, trying not to dive too much into my personal life. I've recently started dating again after staying single for a while. Someone I've been seeing off and on told me he hits on her whenever she visits me. Obviously, not every time, but when she runs into him while visiting. He told her he is going through a divorce. His ex is a total bitch for moving back home. I don't really socialize with him. He seems to be out chasing women as if he was always single. I haven't really worked through why I feel so conflicted about the whole thing. I know I did the right thing. We should look out for each other. I hope one day I get past my weird feelings about it. Maybe if I let someone in my life know what I did. It feels like a weird secret to be carrying with me. I wish he was as miserable as I'm sure we all wish he could be. Either he is good at hiding pain, or he feels freer to sleep around without a wife and kids to hold him down. I wish people were more empathetic of the feelings of people they claim to care about. Stay safe. There are good people out there. The bad ones are just a bit louder. I'll keep people updated if you want me to. Update 4 December 16th, 2023. The cheater was arrested by an undercover cop for solicitation of a sex worker. He was caught as a part of police sting. I've learned that he comes from a pretty wealthy family. They own a lot of grocery stores. So he was bailed out of jail fairly quick. All the neighbors know about it. The woman he is currently dating must too. She has been around since he was arrested. So I don't think they are breaking up over it. He's seeing a few women, but she is around the most. As for his ex, she was up here for a friend's party that I also attended. I'm not going to say how that happened. It would give away my identity. She seems better in many ways, but you can see the toll this past while has had on her. Her ex was arrested after the party. She didn't mention him, but we did see pictures of her twins. They are adorable for those wondering. She is back in school and living with family. You know when you see someone and they're sick, but you can they're getting better. That's the best way I can describe it. She's clearly got some psychological wounds from all of this. She seems tough though. As for the cheater, he doesn't seem all that different from the end of his marriage. I hope going to jail teaches him some kind of lesson. I highly doubt it though. Story 4. My daughter, 15, almost had a breakdown in fear of asking me to be in the same room as my cheating ex-wife. We have not spoken to each other in 6 years. I, M37, told cheating ex-wife, F37, no, when she asked for a better co-parenting relationship for our daughter, F15. We have not spoken to each other in 6 years. The 14th of January, 2022. My ex-wife, F37, cheated on me, M37, 6 years ago, and when I discovered her in a 4-month affair with a married man. We share a 15-year-old daughter together and co-parent exclusively through my sisters, or email. I found out because AP wife sent me all of the pictures and videos that they took cheating on us with on his phone. Some of the deal breakers for me was she did anal, facials with AP but flat out refused to do those acts with me, citing that those acts were disgusting, against her integrity as a woman. She literally told me her body, her rules. Before presenting her with the evidence I had given her a chance to come clean. However, she gaslighted me. Even swore on our daughter's life. I told her if you had any integrity or respect for me at all, you would tell me the truth right now. She held firm that I was crazy and making wild accusations with no facts. So I then present the facts. When confronted with the evidence, she broke down and looked me in my face and said, she is a piece *T and knew her betrayal was beyond disrespectful and ultimately something I would never forgive. I told her going forward under no circumstances except health, safety, and the life or death of our daughter should she contact me. We divorced soon after. Fast forward 6 years later. Last month my daughter asked would I attend a dinner that she was cooking to prepare for her baking/cooking competition. I of course agreed, but the kicker was her mother, my ex-wife, would be there too. She knows why we divorced and accepts my NC with her mother. Mind you, I haven't seen or spoken to my ex-wife in close to 6 years. At the dinner some of my former in-laws and ex-wife were there and Will as my sisters and myself. My daughter food was delicious and everything went smooth. 1 week after the dinner I received a phone call from my ex-wife that I obviously answered because I thought something was wrong with our daughter. Nothing was wrong with our daughter, but ex-wife wanted to sincerely apologize for her actions in the past and the damage she did to break up our family. She said that our daughter almost had a breakdown with the fear of her asking me to be in the same place as her and that our current dynamic is not healthy. She wanted to know was there any way to healthy coexist for future events with our daughter. I did not interrupt her and let her finish what she had to say. When she finished talking, I responded by saying no, and discontinued the call. Here's where I need advice. My sister told me my ex-wife is truly ashamed and sorry for breaking up the family and just wants a healthy environment for our daughter. Sister tells me to move on and to think about our daughter's mental health. I reminded my sister that what value am I to my daughter's life if I'm unhappy? Ex-wife does not make me happy. So Reddit, I need an unbiased opinions. Should I forgive my ex-wife and move on to build a better co-parenting relationship with my wife for my daughter's sake? As a child of divorce, I can say that it is very stressful when dealing with parents who can't stand each other. I don't think you have to forgive your ex or even create some new friendly relationship with her, but at the very least being more open about communication just with general stuff about your daughter and showing her, your daughter, that she shouldn't be afraid to want both of her parents at important engagements like her dinner. In short, you don't ever have to forgive your ex, but you do have to move on for the sake of your daughter. Overall, the advice is that he needs to move on and be a better co-parent for the sake of his daughter. Update. I, M37, told cheating ex-wife, F37, no, when she asked for a better co-parenting relationship for our daughter, F15. We have not spoken to each other in 6 years. The 16th of January 2022. I spoke to my F15 daughter yesterday and what she had to say was an eye-opener. She told me that she knows that I love her and would do anything for her, so she doesn't want to abuse my love for her from me by making me do things I normally would not otherwise do. She says her mom is struggling with sadness sometimes and tells her all the time that your father is not ever going to move past hating me, which makes it hard for everyone else to stop judging her for her past as well. Apparently my ex-wife is venting her grievances with our daughter because she has so few friends. Context: ex-wife lost majority all of our childhood friends as we all grew up together. None of the husbands want their wives hanging out with her due to the fact she used girls' night as an excuse to be with AP, and some of the wives knowingly and some unknowingly covered for her. This caused a lot of drama. It is a common belief that some of the other wives were cheating as well, but no other proof can be found. Since my divorce with the ex, the other wives have essentially removed her from the group to save their marriages. Daughter also explained to me that she missed our family being together if she was being honest, but understands that me and her mother love her. She then asked me about forgiveness, and then about unforgiveness, things people cannot be forgiven for. I told her that is ultimately a standard you have to set for yourself. It comes from the morality and values you have within yourself. I explained that sometimes you can dislike the actions, but not dislike the person. And sometimes you cannot unassociate the actions from the person. Example: Joffrey Baratheon from GOT. She hates him with a passion. I said her mother is someone whose actions I cannot unassociate with her. I said it doesn't mean she is a bad mom, it just means she is someone who I cannot disassociate with her actions. As a result, me and her relationship can never be the same. I then told her just because someone says sorry that it doesn't mean that everything is okay. Unfortunately, some actions have consequences, and in her mother's case her actions are a part of who she is as a person. Daughter then asks me if I have ever forgiven someone who has hurt me before, and I said yes. I have forgiven a lot of people. Forgiveness is a very important quality to have as a person. Ultimately, we had a very good conversation last night and said me and her mom will always be there for her when she has big life events. I will be talking to my ex-wife soon about her comments to our daughter. Update 2. I, M37, told cheating ex-wife, F37, no, when she asked for a better co-parenting relationship for our daughter, F15. We have not spoken to each other in 6 years. The 1st of November, 2022, approx 10 months later. So, after my last post I decided to schedule an appointment with a 2 separate therapist who specializes in marriage and family counseling after divorce. I saw these 2 therapists over the course of 5 months. I did 5 sessions with each therapist, 1 woman and 1 male. In the sessions, I went over all my issues I dealt with my ex-wife and the current dynamics we have in a place now. I showed both therapists my Reddit post and wanted truly 2 non-biased opinions from 2 professionals of the opposite sex. The advice they both gave me provided the contrast I needed to make necessary changes, if any, in my life. The first thing I did was invite my ex-wife to join me in 3 planned therapy consultations in which I would pay for. The goals were simple. First, create avenue for my ex-wife to start speaking with a professional instead of our daughter about our issues. Second, give her closure, not forgiveness, but an opportunity to give her any answers she may need to recovery and be a better mother and person to our shared child. Last, build and commit to a plan that we will follow on how we will deal with parenting our daughter and behave at shared life events. She accepted my offer. First session. The first session was all about sharing our POV on the current state of our lives and what we both want for our daughter. I shared that I am currently enjoying my life as my professional and personal life are flourishing in the sense that I have achieved balance, joy, and core life goals and accomplishments are being met. For my daughter, I shared that my goal is to ensure that she is happy, enjoys her childhood, loved, and understands the value of self-respect and commitment to core values. I always share with her that everyone loves to believe that they are exceptions to the rules, but sometimes following the rules are what makes a person exceptional. Having a clear sense of what is right and wrong and behaving in that fashion is very important to who you are. I shared my biggest regret in life would be if my daughter turned out like how her mother used to be 7, 8 years ago. It was brutal saying this in the session, but I truly believe and fear this. Ex-wife then shares the current state of her life. She is very passionate about her career. Interior, exterior designer, she quite literally turns houses into homes. She shares that she is currently working on herself because her past few relationships ended poorly because of her baggage from our marriage, and divorce has made her very afraid of commitment. She also wants our daughter to be happy, loved, and a hard worker. She responded to my comment about me being afraid of my daughter turning out like how she was 7 years ago. She said her pride was hurt by that comment, but years of therapy help her realize she must accept that her actions of the past have warranted that kind of comment from me. She said she knows our daughter does not want to be like her because our daughter has asked her many times, besides cheating on dad, what is the real reason why he will never forgive you? She said people cheat and get divorced all the time and they are still friends. However, dad truly thinks you are a bad person, but a good mom. For years she thought I was poisoning our daughter against her, but quickly realized that was just her own guilt eating her away. The session ended quickly after that. Second session. This session my ex-wife asked a lot of questions. I mean a lot. Nevertheless, I answered all of them honestly and bluntly. The 3 main questions she asked were the following. 1. How did I heal from the wounds that she caused, and what advice could I give her as she is still trying to heal from the wounds she caused herself? I explained that the damage she caused wasn't like a stab or a cut wound that you could stitch back together. I said her damage was more like she amputated a limb from my body. My recovery wasn't focused on healing, but rather on how to walk, lift, or learn how to eat with my feet because I no longer had hands. I recovered from what she did by reteaching myself how to not be defined by my disability, become a victim, but more importantly gaining strength from it. I ended by saying I am still recovering, there is no healing this wound, the leg is gone. I said my advice to her would be do not amputate your next partner. Stop focusing on healing and starting prioritizing recovering from the damage you caused. Some things cannot be fixed, but they can sometimes be replaced, or provide life lesson on how to behave in the future. 2. How can she replace what she has broken? I reply by giving an analogy. When a woman has a miscarriage, she doesn't replace the child she has lost when she has another baby. She values the life of the child she has because she knows what it is like to lose a child or not have a child at all. She doesn't replace what she has lost, she has to use her previous loss as a vehicle to find love in what she has now. I reiterated that she cannot replace or fix this. Her actions are permanent and cannot be undone. She must recover and use her experience to be better next time. 3. Is there anything she could do to allow us to be friends again? I replied by saying no. However, her being a great mother to our daughter and showing her how to recover from making the mistakes she made in her past would go a long way in making sure our shared interest is met. I explained there is no scenario in which I can give you forgiveness, because it is not a gift I can give. This gift must come from yourself. I cannot be responsible for your happiness or forgiveness. 4. Would you allow me to keep trying? I respond sure. Last session. In the last session we made 2 major agreements. We came to an agreement that I would allow her to contact me outside of emergency if she agreed to not speak about our relationship with our daughter. Please let her be a kid. She can call me directly if she wants to coordinate vacations, holidays, or gifts. I will agree to do 1 counseling session a year with her until our daughter is married or graduates from college. The goal is the session is to build a stronger co-parent relationship and ensure we are not letting our past ruin share experiences with our daughter. Overall, it has been 3 months since our last session, and I believe that I did what was in the most important immediate need for child, which was ensure she does not feel she is responsible for me and her mother's happiness when it come to her life. She is back to being a now 16-year-old teenager, worrying about boys, clothes and social status. Which I am perfectly happy to deal with. As for my ex-wife, that is a whole another thread. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and hit that subscribe button to follow Cheating Love Stories for more amazing videos. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.